Hey, what's up guys, Octocrash here, and you guys waiting for the Fiddlesticks update? Bet you are. So, it's already on the PBE, so we managed to play a couple of games on this champion and now can share the first impressions with you. In this video we'll not only talk about Fiddlesticks spells and mechanics, but also analyze the ability damage changes and answer the question whether Fiddle has become stronger or weaker than before. But first, a couple of words about what's new on MoreLegends.com. Just for you guys, we've prepared a personalized course, Novice to Challenger, where we cover all the game aspects including interface customization, champion and role selection, team interactions, vision, team play, deep in-game mechanics, and of course much more than that. The video course is divided into simple steps that will guide you from the very basics to advanced strategies. Seriously, you should try it. It's more than just guides on YouTube. The link will be in the description. And with this out of the way guys, why does Fiddlesticks need a rework? The Scarecrow is one of the oldest champions in League. He was released back in 2009 in the alpha version of the game. Despite all the tweaks, making a balanced scaling jungle mage turns out not as simple as it might seem. Eventually the poor guy ended up in the support role. Now his playstyle is all about bullying the opposing laners with E and target CC from Q, which leave them no chances to counterplay. While Fiddlesticks' key abilities Drain and Crowstorm sometimes get neglected by the player. What problems does Fiddle have in the jungle? Well, first of all, he can hardly handle large camps, thus being a much slower jungler than, for example, Karthus. Fiddlesticks lacks mobility, his W requires him to stand still for 5 seconds straight, which is just unacceptable for the current League meta. To make ganks more effective, Fiddlesticks has to max Q, but at the same time Q grants him 0 damage, so you basically have to choose between having damage and having CC. That's why Fiddlesticks can't even compete with Karthus. Alright, so now let's have a look at Fiddle's new abilities, and we'll start with his passive, which has been completely reworked. It no longer grants a mass. Fiddlesticks Trinket is replaced by Scarecrow effigies. Effigies have the same mechanics as trinkets, but with some changes. They gain power as Fiddlesticks levels, reducing their cooldown and increasing their duration. Enemy champion approaching an effigy will activate it, causing the effigy to fake random action, after which it will fall apart. Effigies can move, run away and even use flash. Imagine yourself walking into the brush with 200 HP and then you see a Scarecrow. Thanks right for a heart attack. After level 6, effigies will reveal any nearby wards for 6 seconds on placement. This is basically a control ward in his kit. A placed effigy can't be targeted instantly, so you can't use it to block fast skill shots, but if you have an extra second or two, this will definitely work. Moving to active abilities, Terrify is still the same good old fear. Luckily, the target mechanics have remained untouched. I think the old champions should keep the spirit of the old League of Legends. Back in those days when you did need 3 dashes in your kit to be meta. Now the ability also has a passive, while the active mechanics have been changed. Passive. If Fiddlesticks spells damage an enemy while unseen, while Fiddle is outside of combat, Fiddlesticks terrifies the enemy for 1 to 2 seconds, but we'll discuss this a bit later. Active. If the enemy hasn't recently been terrified, terrifies it for 1 to 2 seconds and deals magic damage. You can't terrify a target twice, but it will deal additional damage. This way, Riot want to solve one of Fiddle's problems, that's the lack of damage when maxing CC. Next, Bountiful Harvest, W. The drain mechanics are the same, but now affects all nearby enemies. Fiddlesticks still can't move and use other abilities while casting Harvest. However, the spell duration is reduced from 5 to 2.5 seconds, which is easy to implement in teamfights and ganks. The final tick of the ability deals bonus magic damage based on the target's missing health. It means you can use Bountiful Harvest to finish off low HP targets. The ability cooldown is significantly increased, but on a completed channel or if nothing remains to be harvested, you refund 60% of the remaining cooldown. This tweak partially solves Fiddle's mobility issues, but now you have to carefully choose the time and place for casting Harvest. If it gets interrupted, you'll be left without the main source of damage for 9 seconds. Due to these changes, Fiddlesticks' jungle clear speed has greatly improved. Now he can simultaneously kill Red Brambleback and Raptors without his allies' help, losing almost no HP. With the new mechanics, Fiddlesticks can take 5 jungle camps before the crab spawns, thus being just as fast as Karthus. Fiddle's E is completely reworked, say bye to Dark Wind and Crows. Now Fiddle has a new friend, Scythe. Reap is a skill shot you'll have to land. Fiddlesticks unleashes dark magic from its scythe, dealing damage to and slowing enemies hit for 1.5 seconds in a crescent-shaped area in a target position. The enemies in the center of the crescent are silenced for the duration. This is another source of CC. With its help, you can slow enemies during your ultimate, for example, or you can interrupt channeling spells like Malzahar's ultimate. This ability has a fairly long range. Even if the target tries to flash away, it won't really be a problem. Crowstorm. Fiddlesticks channels for 1.5 seconds, then blinks to the target point, unleashing a murder of crows that flock wildly around it, dealing magic damage per second to all enemy units in the area. The ultimate lasts for 5 seconds, has the same mana cost and cooldown as before. The only difference is that now damage ticks every 0.25 seconds instead of 1 second. Also, as soon as you activate R, crows appear above enemy champions. Now that we know how Fiddle's abilities work, let's go back to his Q passive, which offers Fiddle new opportunities. First of all, now when you ult from the Fog of War, you terrify all enemies hit with your R. This is a very cool CC tool. Secondly, your E and W cast from brush can also apply the Terrify effect to enemies, which will be useful both for setting up ambushes or trying to escape. And thirdly, you can terrify opponents with any kind of damage, even redemption. This trick also works with Nocturne's ultimate, Graves' smokescreen, and so on. Your engage combo is the following: you start with the ultimate and terrify enemies, then cast Q on the main target you want to kill. Use Q at the start of the fight as the ability damage scales with the target's current health. The more HP they have, the more damage Q deals. Next, use Reap to slow the enemy. E will also apply silence, and only after that you cast Bountiful Harvest to finish off the opponent. This ability combo will maximize your damage output. Now in conclusion, here's my personal opinion about the rework. Let's start with the visuals. The new Fiddle is just lit. His look is properly terrifying and totally suits the champion mood and idea itself. The new voice makes me shiver, while scarecrows jumping out of the brush give the panic attacks every damn time. From the visual point of view, there are no complaints about the rework. The character spirit and gameplay have remained the same, and I really like it. Fiddle's mechanics are still simple and clear for beginners, especially considering his new jungle clear speed and sustain. His damage problem is partially solved. I mean, all his spells deal damage now. Unfortunately, Riot ignored his mobility issues. Fiddle's overall damage has grown, but burst damage to single targets has decreased. Mobile champions can easily break the distance with Fiddle and leave his AoE spells. He has more overall healing but less healing in duels, thus being more vulnerable to aggressive early game junglers. Fiddlesticks is still squishy. His task is to get into the middle of the fight, but what will happen after Zhonya's runs out? So, despite all the seemingly positive changes, the rework is a bit unfinished. It feels like something is missing here. That's why I don't think Fiddle will be super popular after the release. Well, unless Riot overbuff his damage. But overall I like the spirit of the rework, as well as the fact that Fiddle will get back to the jungle. This skill set will hardly be appreciated in the mid lane or in the bot lane. His poke damage has been significantly reduced, while CC alone won't be that useful. And that seems to be it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you think about the update. Alright, on this note, thanks again for watching, and of course good luck in your solo queue.